Okay, folks, welcome back. We left off last week returning to the Great Deku Tree. Now that we have our sword and shield in tow, we can finally enter and do what we can to break the mysterious curse that's on him. So let's go. First dungeon of the game. Don't be afraid, just walk right in. Inside the Deku Tree. Okay. So, first things first, the first enemy we're going to note that we come across here is also, if we use Navi here to tell us about it, a Deku Baba. Again, we found Deku Babas just outside. However, you'll notice that they're a little bit different than the other ones because these ones have this sort of lunging attack. Hit it when it lunges at you and it will stand upright, cut it quickly to get a Deku stick. However, if you kill it when it isn't upright but is lunged at you, see, if you kill it there, you'll get another Deku stick. But I'll just wait for him to get at me like that. And now we get something different. A Deku Nut. Select the opposite, blah blah blah. Set it to C. Yeah, we know that. Try throwing it. It will flash and stun the enemy. Okay, so now we've got our second C button item. So yeah, they act as sort of like little stun grenades. You can throw them down on the ground and yeah, they'll stun enemies. I don't think that there's any enemies in the game that they actually do damage to. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't believe that they are effective on all enemies either, but... And I'll see if I can show you what it's like to... see, now, those guys didn't want to stand up. I was going to show you what it's like to get a Deku stick from them, but anyway. And also, just before I go on here, you'll notice that now our map screen, now that we're inside a dungeon, has changed to a different kind of map. So here, it'll be showing the different floors. We've only visited the first floor, so that's the only one that's displayed. For right now, it's only going to show us floors that we've been in, and rooms that we've been in. And we're only in the first room, so only the first room is displayed currently, obviously. And you'll also notice that it's flashing, indicating the room that we're currently in. So that'll distinguish between different rooms once we start exploring them. Also, just to the left of the 1F icon there is a little picture of our face. So that also indicates the floor that we're on once it gets to the point of having to differentiate between multiple floors. Everything else is the same, though. I think that's the only thing that changes when we're in a dungeon. Okay. Here we've got, look at this here. Navi's telling us about something. Look, Jordan. You can see down below this web using C up. So we can do that and look down. And you can see there's this whole other area of the dungeon that's way down here, but it is being blocked by this spider web. So we need to do something to get past that. First we'll come over here to this grass and we'll cut some of this just to see if we can get anything here. And then to get up to this next level here, you'll see, because there's nowhere else for us to go in this little room sort of, so we have to go up. And there's two ways to doing it. There's the ladder, and then there's another one of these over here, these rough surfaces that you can actually just climb up. And look, now he's going to tell us about it. Look at the wall. The vines growing on it. Give it a rough surface. Maybe you can climb it, Jordan. Yeah. I covered that last video. But anyway, we'll go up the ladder just for now. Just because we'll start at one far end and walk all the way to the other side. And you'll see here, there's a little kind of arm jutting out here, and we can jump it to get to that heart. And if we do that, you'll see, oh, okay, it kind of bends and stretches that spider web there a little bit. So that's a bit of a clue as to what we have to do in order to break through it entirely. We just need to drop on it from a higher distance in order to hit it with even more force. I don't know. Navi's indicating we should look up this way. Let's see what she's got to say about these monsters here. Skulltula. Be careful not to touch it. Whenever it came to Skulltulas or big Skulltulas, I always, growing up, I always used to call them a Skulltula, and I'd also heard them pronounced Skulltula. But I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be Skulltula because it's like like tarantula, and that's how the word tarantula is spelled, right? It's with a T-U-L-A, not C-H. So I'm pretty sure that's what they were going for, and they are all, after all, giant spider monsters. So, yeah, so these monsters here are up on these walls, and we can't hit them from here, not even with throwing our Deku Nuts. We can, you'll see again, it's got this rough surface, so obviously we can climb the wall, but if we get too close, okay, I'm going to drop down before it gets to us, but that's, ooh, and see, if you almost drop, okay, I've got a whole bunch of stuff happening all at once here. I'll show first here, if you accidentally almost drop off an edge here, you'll just sort of hang off, so if I just hit the context button, the action button, that'll drop me off, or if I can push up on the stick, it'll pull me back up, so that's how I recover there. These guys here now too, you saw when I got too close, he kind of turned purple there. That indicates that he was about to do a charging attack, and I had no way of defending myself, so I had no choice but to drop off the wall before he hit me. Otherwise I'd take damage and just be knocked off the wall again anyway. So that's those enemies, but we can't do anything about them just yet. But we've got here our first chest in this dungeon, so let's open that up and see what we've got. And we will find our first dungeon map of the game. We start to get into the subscreens and look at the map subscreen. Blue chambers are places you have already visited. Your current location is the flashing room. Move the stick up and down to select the floor to view. So we'll go into that now. So now that we have the map gives us this ability to see the entire dungeon, not just the rooms we've been in. So you'll see here dungeon map is indicated that we've picked it up. There's 2 other slots above it, so there's 2 other things that we'll be able to pick up in dungeons. Although the first 3 dungeons in the game, you'll actually only be able to find 2 of those items. The 3rd item doesn't come into play until later on in the game. So they want to ease you into it. But so now that we have the dungeon map, you can see at the left side there, we can see all the floors. And we can cycle up between all the floors, and it'll show us what the entire dungeon looks like. And again, only rooms that we've been in so far are actually colored in. And see, there's a blue room. So it's like that whole room is like this sort of vertical cylinder that runs vertically throughout the whole dungeon. So technically, it's kind of like we've been inside that room. So that's why it's all colored in blue. But then the floor that we're on there, first floor, see, that's the one that's flashing. So again, that indicates what we're in currently. And again, it's got the our face icon next to it. Okay, so that's basically the gist of how the dungeon map works. So it's pretty handy to have. Alright, let's keep going this way here. You can open a door by standing in front of it and pressing A. Pay attention to what the action icon says. That's the blue icon at the top of the screen. Yeah, we've been over this. Okay, so open the door. Uh-oh, it locked behind us with these bars. Alright. See with this guy here, this is a Deku Scrub. It will hide in the grass. If you get close to it, bounce the nuts back, spits at it. Yeah, you see what I did there? I just held up my shield and bounced the nut right back at it. And if I just stand here in its the spot here so it can't get back into its little plant here, then it has to confront you. Ow, ow, ow. Forgive me, master. If I give you a clue, will you let me go? When you jump off a high cliff, if you hold the stick forward, you will roll on the ground. When you land, it won't get hurt from the fall. I can't guarantee it will work, though, if the cliff is really, really high. Haha. Well, try it if you are feeling bold. Wahaha. Okay. That's a weird sense of humor. And he left us a heart. How considerate of him. Okay, I think we were facing this way, so we can continue on through this way. You can't always, by the way, you can't always bounce back attacks like that. Usually your shield will just block attacks. But with a Deku Nuts like that coming from a Deku Scrub, you can actually bounce them right back like that. Okay, so if we jump over this way here, this platform immediately crumbles. It was a floating platform anyway. Don't ask me to explain that one. But, okay. We get some more rupees here. Okay, and these rough surfaces we can climb. And if we look up over this way, you'll see here, in order to get, like, it's like, how the heck are we going to get back up to the door in order to get out of this room? But looks like there's a ladder hovering up there. And we target it and get Navi to tell us about it. Look, something is hanging up there. It looks like an old ladder. Okay, but how the heck are we supposed to get it down? Well, now that we're up here, we found the second chest in the dungeon. And this is going to be the fairy slingshot. You found the fairy slingshot on the select item subscreen, blah blah blah. Set it to C buttons. Yes, take it out and hold it. As you hold C, you can aim with the stick and release C to unleash a Deku seed. Those are different than Deku Nuts. If you want to shoot right away, when you first press C, hold down C a little longer to get a seed ready. Okay, so let's equip that. I always like to have my long-ranged one on C down, and then I'll equip whatever else to the other ones. Just helps me always remember where things are if you have a system that you always follow, so that way you don't always have to look at the screen to be reminded of what you have equipped. And before we do anything else, you notice just over to the right here is another vertical strip of that rough surface patch here, and a tiny little chest. So let's see what's in here. Just another recovery heart that we haven't needed. Anyway, we'll drop down, and what we can do here is, before I do anything else here, I'll just show you how the slingshot works here. I haven't even showed you how Deku Nuts work yet. I'll just show you here. If you just hit the appropriate C button, that's all you do. You just throw down a little seed, and it creates a little flash, and you can stun enemies. If that gets pulled off correctly, the enemies should turn blue, and they'll stay blue for a few seconds. Anyway, with the fairy slingshot, if I'm not targeted anything, and I just press the appropriate C button, so in this case C down, it'll switch to first-person view, and you can look around, and then again circle or a blue button to return. You'll still kind of have it out though, so then you'll have to stay still and press the action icon or the action button again to put it away. And then once I have it out and equipped, if I hold down C again, I will load up a seed in the slingshot, and I can aim around, and then as soon as I let go of the button, it will shoot the seed. It's pretty simple. Or I can just lock onto an item and pull out my slingshot that way, and I just held down the C down button, and all in just one motion, just by holding the button down, I both equipped the slingshot and ready to see too. So I can stay in third-person mode, and that will allow me a little bit more mobility. But of course, I'm reliant on my targeting in order to aim. If I want to aim first-person, then I can't use that targeting. But anyway, this is good enough. So I will loose a seed directly at that target that Navi's helping me out with. And that was enough to loosen that ladder. So now I can jump down. And we'll see if this respawning grass is maybe going to give us some more Deku seeds that we use for ammo for our slingshot. Yep, there we go. That's what the seeds look like. These are small hard seeds that you can use as bullets for your slingshot. Excellent. Okay, so now we can climb up this ladder we just knocked down. And now that we have a nice ranged attack, we'll finally be able to shoot up the wall at those Skulltulas. So, here, I'm going to show you here. I'm going to target this one like I did with that ladder and take it down like that. And then this other one I'm going to take down with a different method. I'm just going to do with the first person. So I'm going to aim, and even from here, because I'm close enough, Navi's pointing it out, so I could Z target from here again, even if I wanted to, even like while I've got first person mode activated. But I'll just aim up here and then loose it, and took him down. So it works the same way, it's just, a different method. And then sometimes enemies are a little bit too far away to target. Now, apparently this enemy is still close enough that I still can target him. But sometimes if it's too far away for Navi to be able to target the enemy, you might not have a choice but to try with first person. But anyway, it's close enough. Alright, so now that there's some seeds that fell back here. So now that those Skulltulas are taken care of, I can now climb up this wall without fear of being attacked. So, now that I make all my way up here, now I can push to the right or the left and actually climb sideways, and then I can actually go down or just hit the action icon to drop myself down onto the platform that's up here. And you see this the cylindrical room is kind of Got this vertical web going around it, again in a cylinder, but there's a couple of open areas here. Ooh, now this is a big one. Big Skulltula. Its soft belly is its weak point. Okay, so you got to be careful not to get too close to these guys, because they'll do the spin attack and hit you. I'll just show you here if I'm too close. Oh, I thought that was too close for sure. Here, I'll get real close. Yeah, they'll spin around. So you got to wait until their belly is exposed, like Navi told you. And oh, look at that. We got a heart. That'll help. And if we come around to this side here, there should be another opening in the web. I'll show you the Deku Nut here. Look at that. Now that it's stunned, I can get as close as I want because he's stunned and can't move. But if I stun him while he's forward, right, if I hit the hard surface, that's not going to help me in any way. He just kind of swings back and forth, you see. Right, I got to wait till he spins around. I'll show you a jump attack there. Again, you gotta adjust your distance between him and it, or it and yourself adequately so that you don't accidentally jump into it when you're doing those jump attacks. That's always the danger there. But anyway, you don't necessarily have to take out all three. I was just going to show you some combat. You're going to have to take out at least one of them, though, because you're going to want one of these breaks in the web open, because eventually this is what we're going to want to do. Remember, we were talking about how we want to jump from a high place in order to fall straight down and break that web. That's exactly what we're going to do, but not before going into this room over here. Okay, door closed again behind us, so we're going to have to find some way to unlock it. Alright, we got a burning torch here, and we've got one of these. This is the first time we've seen this. A floor switch. And floor switches make something happen. It's always different for every switch. But you activate it simply by walking on top of it. Sometimes the change it makes is permanent, and other times it's timed. If it's timed, you should hear sort of a clicking kind of a timer, sort of. Here, I can even show you. I'm just going to jump down here, and once we're down in this little area, you'll notice there's nothing we can do once we're down here except take out this Deku Baba, and then we can climb the vines to get back out. So it's like, what the heck are we supposed to do? So if we hit that floor switch, it makes those platforms rise. So now, and you'll hear that clicking sound, right? And it'll speed up as your time lessens. But anyway, the point is, as you just saw, we can use those platforms to be able to jump across. And now that we're all the way over here, another big chest. And we got some more Deku seeds for a slingshot. And we'll open up this next big chest. And this is going to be the third major item in this dungeon. Voila! You found the compass. Now you can see the locations of many hidden things in the dungeon. So every dungeon has a dungeon map and a dungeon compass. So now you'll see on our mini-map on the bottom right of the screen, now not only is it showing us the room that we're in, but it's also showing us now arrows. So again, the yellow arrow is where our current location is and points in the direction we're facing. And then the red arrow indicates where we came from, where we initially entered the room. So that can help us with orientation. Also, you'll notice that little orange box, that denotes a chest that's in the room that has not been opened. So that's also good if you're a player that cares about not leaving behind any secrets and stuff like that. And this guy respawned. Now this Deku Baba isn't one of those lunging ones. It just keeps giving us Deku sticks over and over. That's a clue that we're going to need to use Deku sticks in some way in order to solve a puzzle. This big Skulltula is just hanging up there, and if we try shooting him from afar with a seed, again, it's a hard shell, so we won't be able to hurt it. So we've got to get close enough. This is the dangers. You got to get close enough to tempt it to come down, but not so close that it's gonna attack you when it makes its way down. But anyway, so you'll see on our mini-map there, we're clearly facing where the chest is supposed to be on the map, but we can't see it, so it's got to be up on that alcove there, so there's got to be some other way of getting up there. Well, how about we just come back and reactivate that floor switch and use the platforms to go over this way now. So can open that chest. You'll see as soon as we open it, then the chest on our mini-map disappeared. Once again, we've got a recovery heart. And, ooh, now these enemies are very interesting. These are golden Skulltulas. You'll notice that Navi doesn't even target these, so we've got to kill them on our own. But if we approach cautiously, and these guys can be a little bit deceptive on how close you're able to get before they harm you, so make sure to keep a healthy distance. Usually 2 hits with either your sword or your slingshot will do the trick, even though I don't need to use my slingshot here for this guy because he's right there. I'll just show you. And now, what's left behind is something that we can target. Navi's still not telling us anything about it, though, but if we go and touch it to collect it, you destroyed a gold Skulltula. You got a token proving you destroyed it. So if we go into our menu here, again, see, oh yeah, just while I'm here on the map there, see now it shows we've got the compass as well. And this is, these will disappear once we go into another dungeon, and again, we'll have to collect them again. Oh, and also that's another point of interest too, is something else that the compass points out, is where the boss in the dungeon is. Yes, well, actually not all dungeons, but most dungeons do have a boss that you have to fight at the end, and that's indicated by the skull. It won't tell you where the boss is located. Oh no, it does actually. I was going to say it only tells you the floor, as indicated by that skull. We're currently up on 3rd floor, and according to what the compass is telling us, the boss is down in basement level 2, and right on the map there too. Yeah, it shows it with another skull icon, so it does show you exactly where to go to get to the boss. So that's handy as well. Yes, I would like to save. Oh, I forgot to show while we're in there. Now, if we go over to our quest status, finally this screen finally shows something. Gold Skulltula, and so now that space is filled in with the gold Skulltula icon, and has next to it the number 1, indicating that we have, as you would surmise, we have picked up just 1 token so far. So that's going to be another little sort of a side quest in the game, is to see how many tokens we'll be able to pick up along the way. So now we still haven't figured out how to unlock this door to get out of here. It's simple. We've got a torch over here that is unlit, and Navi will fill us in on that. It looks like that torch was burning not too long ago. So what we can do is, using a Deku stick, if we take one out, we can actually light the end of a stick like a temporary torch. And if we wait too long, eventually the stick will burn down. But we can always put it away if we remain still, and that will salvage the stick. Otherwise, if we wait, we'll burn it and we'll lose the stick. But if we don't take too long, we can actually bring it right over and transfer the flame from one torch to another. So we can light that unlit torch, and that was what we had to do in order to unlock that door. Oh, okay, now these enemies respawned again, so we're gonna have to take out this guy one more time. And I like doing the jump attack because it does twice as much damage, so that lets me take him out with only 1 hit instead of 2. But anyway, we've done everything we need to up here, and if you want, you can check your map as well, just to check out these floors here. Yeah, all of these rooms have been all colored in up at the top, so that indicates we've been in everything, and there's no chests, so it doesn't look like we've missed anything. Unfortunately, golden Skulltulas won't be indicated anywhere on your map, so if you care about hunting down every last golden Skulltula in the game, that's something that your map and compass aren't going to help you out with. But down in the basement levels 1 and 2, we have yet to visit those. So we're going to have to time and aim this just right. But if we can get our jump so that it's right just in the middle, you might have to pull back on the stick just a little bit. But yep, that's enough to break us right through. And you'll see we actually fell all the way down to basement level 1. Excellent. All right, so we can get up on here. Be careful not to let that Deku Baba... And, oh yeah, see, there was an example. We hit him for the first time there. We killed that one while he was upright, so he gave us a stick instead of a Deku Nut. Alright. There's a door over here, but it's being covered by this web. We can't get to that just yet. And here is some water. You'll see it's just deep enough that we can swim around in it. But also, you'll notice that there's sort of this little shallow platform in this one part right here. So we can use this to kind of get around a little bit. Here is another gold Skulltula, so we can take him out. We can't reach him with our sword, but And we still can't, I think even if we do a backflip, we won't be able to get enough height to collect it. No, we can't get high enough. So what we'll have to do is use the shallow platform to be able to get up here. I'm just going to drop down for a second just to kind of show you something here. Because if we're here in the water, you'll see, because we're sunk in the water and we're just treading water, we can't reach the ledge. So we've got to get up onto this platform here to give us enough leverage, and then we can hop up. Also, that telltale sign you can hear there, that is always is a clue to listen into. If you hear that, you know that there's another gold Skulltula somewhere nearby. So there's a third one. So we'll kill that one. And we'll go over this way. And this whole wall is vines all the way up. So we can climb that, get the token. Always, always, always make sure to remember to collect the token. Because it's not just telling you that it's proof that you killed it just as like a fun gimmick. You actually do need to pick it up in order to get credit for it. But just while I'm on here, I'm not going to climb all the way up. But if you were so inclined to get back up to the top levels of the dungeon, that's how you would do it. You can climb all the way back up this way. Alright, I'll drop back down. Get back up onto this platform here. And there's a floor switch, but we don't hit it just yet. If we position ourselves just here, we should be able to jump to that token. There we go. So now, if we consult our menu, look at that. Now we've got 3 gold Skulltula tokens. Excellent. Alright. This platform up here is still too high for us to be able to jump to, though, so we've got to do something else about that. And here is a brazier, but it is behind the web as well. However, if we hit this floor switch, you'll notice that lights it automatically, and another clue that it shows us there is that the fire burned the cobwebs away. So that's another way we can get through cobwebs. Just before we do that here, you'll notice our compass is telling us that there was a little hidden chest back here, so we'll open that up. And yet another recovery heart. This dungeon doesn't really want to give us much more than recovery hearts. Again, it's the first dungeon, so they want to make sure you're surviving it. But and again here, we're gonna use a Deku stick to bring the fire from that lit torch over to that web there, and we can use that to burn through that cobweb, as we just learned that we can do. You're going to want to be careful to use that raised platform, because this will happen with a lit torch. If you just jump willy-nilly into water, it puts the fire out. So that's another reason why you have to mind your footing. Light our Deku stick, and we're going to jump here onto the raised platform so we don't actually go into the water. And then just bring it over to the cobweb, and just like that, melts it away. But you see, the amount of time that it took to do that was so long that we ended up losing that Deku stick. No matter, we've still got plenty left. But anyway, the point is now we can get into this door. And another one of these Deku scrubs. Again, you know what to do. Use your shield to bounce back the nut, and we'll stand here in the middle so that he can't hide back into his hiding spot. Please forgive me, Master. I'll never do it again. If you spare me, I'll teach you something cool. You will never beat my brothers up ahead unless you punish them in the proper order. The order is 2, 3, 1. 23 is number 1. For anybody who doesn't pick up on that, that's meant to be a reference to Michael Jordan, who many consider still to this day to have been the best basketball player to ever have lived, and his number was 23. So it's sort of just a little kind of a joke to remember the order. 23 is number 1. Do you think I'm a traitor? Kind of, but I can't blame you. Alright, so now we're in this room. This is a new kind of puzzle. Here's the door to get out, but it's locked. So you'll see these every once in a while. If we just use C up to look here, this says what is called an eye switch, or an eyeball switch. And all you gotta do to activate it is to hit it with something. So we'll shoot our slingshot at it, and just like that it opens the door. Pretty straightforward. Okay. After you get into the water, if you hold A, you can dive. I bet there are some interesting things underwater. Okay, we did cover diving before, but there was never really a reason to dive before. And actually all the water we've been in before has never really been deep enough to dive to any kind of a significant depth. But so if we jump into the water here, we can swim over to the other side of this room, but you'll see that we aren't able to get up onto this ledge. So that's what we got to use this platform for, that's moving back and forth. However, you will notice that there's this spinning trap, this spiked log hazard, that's right in the way. So if we're standing on the platform when it passes by there, it's just going to knock us off and we'll take damage. So what we're going to do is you'll notice there's a switch here in the water. If we swim right over it, hold the action icon or button to dive down, and hold it to keep diving down, right? You can activate the switch by pushing into it, and that will temporarily lower the water level. That will allow us to sneak right underneath that trap. Again, though, you can hear that ticking sound to indicate that that's a temporary effect, so you can't take too long in doing that. You got to get over here quickly. Alright, another big Skulltula. You can hit him with a nut if you want. Again, I didn't really need to do that, but just reminding you of the fact that you can do that. Stand next to the block and grab hold of it with A. While holding A, you can push or pull it. If you stand next to the block and press A while pressing the stick towards the block, you can climb on top of it. Pay attention to what the action icon says. Yes. I was just about to get into that. Okay, you know what? You don't... And it's actually not even letting me skip this text. Come on. What the heck? I, just turned around for a second. That is one thing I will admit is mildly annoying about Navi. Okay. So, you'll see there's this block that Navi obviously is talking about, and it's in this little sort of groove in the floor. So, if we get up, approach it, and then you'll see it says grab. If we press and hold the action button, we grab it. So now, if we pull back on the stick, we can pull it. And if we were so inclined, we could also push it. Because it's in this groove, if we try pulling it this way, you'll notice we won't be able to get it out because the block is too heavy and it won't push outside of that groove. But anyway, we will push the block along this groove as far as it goes until it stops. And now, if instead of just standing here and pressing A to grab, if we push the stick into it, that grab turns to climb again, as Navi was telling us. So now if we hit the action button, we climb up on top. Pretty nifty. And now we have enough height to get up onto this ledge here and through this door. Here we go. Alright. I'm just going to show you here, because so far I've only actually used my shield against Deku Scrubs, but I'll show you here against Deku Baba. See that? Impervious to damage as long as your shield is raised. So, if you're a beginner, don't be afraid to use your shield more than I am. Alright, and let's see here. What is around in this room? There's some unlit torches and some grass to cut for that. And yeah, there it is. I was just gonna say I could still hear that little musical motif playing in the background, indicating that there were still enemies in the room. So I just wanted to make sure. But again, those are Deku Babas that will only give you Deku Sticks, which is helpful because, you know, that's just in the event that you're actually somehow out of Deku Sticks. You're going to need them in order to get out of this room. And it's the same deal that we've been through before. The only difference is this time there are 2 torches to light. You know, grammar good. So, just be quick before your torch goes out to light them both. Easy peasy. And we'll put our stick away to save it. Ooh, this guy was hiding right in that doorway. You gotta be careful. And up here, you want to be careful up here because these are, I think these are called Goma larvae. And if you get too close to right underneath them, they'll drop down on top of you, and then like an egg, they'll hatch into a monster and attack you. So, I don't think you can shoot them down though. No, apparently not. Now, I'm going to engage them just to show you what to do in the event that you do have to take them on, but you actually can avoid them if you simply walk around the outer perimeter of this room. They won't even drop down at all. So if you prefer to avoid the fight, you can do it this way. But I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to run across. When they drop down, I'll get Navi to tell me about them. Yeah, Goma Larva. Look at when it gets ready to pounce. You can see they're clearly telegraphing what they're about to do with attacking when they change. The color of their eye changes to red like that. So, you know, they're still, like, basically just as easy to kill as any other enemy we've encountered so far. But they are, you saw they're a little bit maybe more aggressive. They kind of run and come after you, and there's still one more up there. And you can stun them there too, just to keep them in place. You see there with my jump attack, I didn't judge the distance quite as well, and I ended up jumping into him just a little bit there. But no matter, we get up another recovery heart there by cutting the grass. We got some more cobwebs here. We know what to do there. Light a stick, bring the fire over. We can burn the web. Okay. Now, this is interesting. This is the first time we've encountered this kind of a big brick wall. Doesn't appear that there's anything we can do to get past it, though. As it turns out, that's actually true. We can't pass through that wall here. We're going to have to come back later. And not to spoil it for you, but it's actually going to be much later in the game, not even just later in this particular segment where we're battling this dungeon. We're going to have to come back once we visited a whole other dungeon with a whole other couple of items. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Alright. Now, we got to go out the way that we actually can get. Same deal. Bring our fire over to this cobweb. We can burn it. And remember when we were in Kokiri Forest to get the Kokiri sword and we had to go through that hole to get to the hole of Zed? Same deal here. Approach the hole, stand still, press A to enter, and now we can press up on the control stick to crawl through the hole. Basic stuff. Alright, so now we're on the other side of the water here. Remember we were talking about how this ledge was too high to crawl up from. So that's what we had to go through all that rigmarole for. Come around from the other side. Be careful not to accidentally drop back down here, otherwise we're going to have to go all the way around that area again in order to get back to where we were. Alright, we'll take out these enemies. And das ist das. Okay. Also, what we can do, though, in order to prevent us having to go all the way around, is if we want to, this is optional, but we can actually push this block into the water. The reason being, that will now provide us with a stepping stone. So, in the event that we should, whether intentionally or unintentionally, drop down into the water again, we can actually just climb our way back up on top of the block. We don't have to go through all that again. We can have a direct pathway here. Now, we've again got cobwebs to get through somehow. But if we look up, there's nowhere to drop down onto. So how are we going to break through this one? Well, we know that fire burns cobwebs, but we've never burned a horizontal cobweb before, only vertical ones. So what you can actually do is while you've got your burning Deku stick, if you press forward and do your roll attack, that will actually allow you to, by rolling, get the fire to briefly make contact with the floor underneath you. So just while we're going over top of the cobweb, we're going to do a roll like that. However, the only burning torch in this room is on the other side. So actually, now that I think about it, come to think about it, it turns out that actually isn't optional after all. I forgot about that. I thought I could just light one of those torches there, but I see now that they're too tall. So you actually do have to push that block into the water there so that we can get to the other side, because that way we can do this. Light the torch on this side, then quickly jump across to this side, and then do our roll maneuver, burn away cobweb, quickly put our stick away, and now drop all the way down into basement level 2. Alright, and there's some recovery hearts here. We can swim over and pick those up, and again, you'll notice this back part of the wall here has that rough texture, so if you wanted, you could climb all the way back up. But you'll see now, according to our map, we've now entered basically every room. We just need to get to that boss. And the only thing standing in our way are these 3 Deku Scrubs. And you'll remember what that one told us earlier, is that we'll never be able to pass them unless we know the secret. And you'll see these guys too here. See, you can't even... oh, now, I did that by accident. I didn't mean to do that. See how I kind of stunned him there? If I go after a guy here, once you get too close to these guys, they just hide in the grass. Yeah, it'll hide in the grass if you get close to it. Bounce the nuts, yeah. So, you gotta do what we did before, just bounce the nuts back. But I'm doing it in the wrong order, so this actually won't work. So you heard that tone to indicate that we kind of screwed up. I didn't mean to bounce that first nut back at the guy, but that was the first one. If you just look at them in terms of 1, 2, and 3, that's how we indicate the pattern. And remember, he told us 23 is number 1. So we actually want to stun number 2 first, then number 3, and now number 1, and now it will work. Now they will let us pass. See? There we go. How did you know our secret? How irritating. It's so annoying that I'm going to reveal the secret of Queen Goma to you. In order to administer the coup de grace to Queen Goma, strike with your sword while she's stunned. Oh, Queenie. Sorry about that. Alright. Boss time! Make sure your health is all topped up. Ooh, entering the boss chamber now. Ooh, very creepy. Misty. Oh, snap! We're stuck in here. Oh my god, what's that at the ceiling? Giant creepy eyeball. Oh my god, giant spider! Parasitic armored arachnid Goma. Alright, so target, and with Navi, Sigoma, it's one of the parasitic monsters inside the Deku tree. Its eye is vulnerable when it's red. Okay, so we should be able to just attack, but we'll be on the safe side and use a Deku Nut to stun. You see how we did that? It's stunned momentarily, and then while it's up top here, if we keep targeted, we'll wait till the eye to turn red and we can actually shoot it with our slingshot. Use all kinds of different attacks there. You see, you only get so long while it's stunned though, and I tried stunning it again with another Deku Nut, but it took too long. No matter, we'll just get our slingshot ready here and wait for the eye to turn red again. If you wait too long, it'll drop more Goma larvae, so again, you want to make sure not to take all day. But that's all she wrote. Relatively easy first boss. Yeah, you'd really want to make sure that you don't take too long knocking it down off of the ceiling, because it'll just keep laying more and more larvae, and then you'll have to contend with those little creatures running around while the big boss attacks you as well. Now that we have defeated our first boss, we get our first big heart container. So if we pick it up, and make sure not to forget to pick them up on your haste to get out of the dungeon, you got a heart container. Your maximum life energy is increased by 1 heart. Your life energy will be totally filled. Look at that at the top left. We now have 4 heart containers. Badass. Alright, step into the glow, my son. And that does it for this dungeon. Ooh. It's a convenient way of getting around. Well done, Jordan. Thou hast verily demonstrated thy courage. I knew that thou wouldst be able to carry out my wishes. Now I have yet more to tell ye. Wouldst thou listen? I wouldst. Now listen carefully. A wicked man of the desert cast this dreadful curse upon me. He's the guy we saw from our dream in the beginning of the game. Interesting. This evil man ceaselessly uses his vile sorceress powers in his search for the sacred realm that is connected to Hyrule. For it is in that sacred realm that one will find the divine relic, the Triforce, which contains the essence of the gods. Before time began, before spirits and life existed, 3 golden goddesses descended upon the chaos that was Hyrule. Din, the goddess of power. Nehru, the goddess of wisdom. And Furore, the goddess of courage. Din. With her strong flaming arms, she cultivated the land and created the Red Earth. Nehru poured her wisdom onto the earth and gave the spirit of law to the world. Furore, with her rich soul, produced all life forms who would uphold the law. The 3 great goddesses, their labors completed, departed for the heavens, and golden sacred triangles remained at the point where the goddesses left the world. Since then, the sacred triangles have become the basis for our world's providence, and the resting place of the triangles has become the sacred realm. Interesting. Thou must never allow the desert man in black armor to lay his hands on the sacred Triforce. Thou must never suffer that man with his evil heart to enter the sacred realm of legend. That evil man who cast the death curse upon me and sapped my power. Because of that curse, my end is nigh. Though your valiant efforts to break the curse were successful, I was doomed before you started. Yes, I will pass away soon, but do not grieve for me. I've been able to tell you of these important matters. This is Hyrule's final hope. Jordan, go now to Hyrule Castle. There, thou wilt surely meet the Princess of Destiny. Take this stone with you, the stone that man wanted so much that he cast the curse on me. Ooh. Pretty. You got the Kokiri's Emerald. This is the spiritual stone of the forest, now entrusted to you by the great Deku Tree. The future depends upon thee, Jordan. Thou art courageous. Navi the fairy, help Jordan to carry out my will. I entreat ye, Navi. Goodbye. Wow. Let's go to Hyrule Castle, Jordan. Goodbye, great Deku Tree. Well, that's a somber note to end this episode on. Well, she just got that little look back at the end. Alright. Alright, so we're on our way out of the grotto area where the Deku tree is. And if you'll see, Mido stops us on our way out. So it forces us to speak to him. Hey, Jordan, what did you do? The great Deku tree, did he die? How could you do a thing like that? It's all your fault. Jesus, I tried to save him, douche. Alright, well, now that we're done with that guy's shenanigans, we are free to move about the forest again. Although our immediate objective is apparently going to be to make our way to the Hyrule Castle. And we're going to be doing that next week. Stay tuned.